Now, I had an impromptu roll in because I was seeing so much of the conspiracitard content showing up on Facebook, on X, Gab, popping up everywhere, Instagram, boy, and getting unbelievable numbers of views, like you can't imagine. And then I mentioned the most recent piece of conspiracy when it comes to Charlie Kirk's assassination is articulated by this guy named Stu Peters, as you know, a former white digger, and made rap music with some non-white girl at some point in his past. Not to throw shade on him, but we do make choices in our lives, and kind of tells people about what you find important. And so he has gotten unbelievable, all put together, millions of views on a utterly fraudulent conspiracy theory, which is that a lavalier microphone attached to the shirt of Charlie Kirk shot him in the neck. And of course, Stu Peters, being one of these anti-Jew people, he concludes that this was Israel without a shadow of a doubt, had to be Israel. And so that's what happened. And it's being promulgated everywhere. People are talking, they're like, this is brilliant. It was and when I saw this and I saw these numbers, I thought, this is preposterous. And essentially also at the same time, because I had some reservations about an artifact during this assassination that I was still curious about. And that was what I colloquially refer to as the vacuum following a rapidly moving projectile. There seemed to be a little too much movement in Charlie Kirk's hair and shirt. And to be justified by this vacuum following a rapidly moving projectile. So haunted by that concern and watching these retarded, and I mean it medically, conspiracy theories, and seeing those theories getting millions of views. There are videos with over 1 million views. But there are many, many videos from many different content creators with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. And the theories, one theory, the guy has garnered masses and masses amount of views. And it is one of the most patently, I guess they're all really most patently fraudulent, was that Kirk was shot right behind the ear, and you can see blood spray coming from his ear. It's not blood spray at all. And all of these things. But in particular, of course, it was really Stu Peters and all of the attention he's getting for a conspiracy theory that is utterly fake. So I came on and I grabbed a bunch of videos. I resolved for myself, grabbing a bunch of videos, what had taken place. And there were two things that could have caused what we can see on these videos. Two things. One of them comports with the narrative that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk in the neck. And another one could be done by some very sophisticated operators. Either way, they both work. And I thought that since I had resolved this for the seemingly at least hundreds of thousands, but maybe even millions of people, that if I streamed and showed this, and then I shared the stream all over the place and went into different chats to share, that it would garner a bunch of attention. No attention. But here's what it is. We cut to the chase. In the video, what we see is Charlie Kirk's t-shirt climb almost all the way up to his eyeball. Now that is positional because he moves backward like this. It doesn't quite climb that high. If he were still sitting straight up, I don't know, maybe about right there it would be. And we see something, not blood spray, coming off his right ear. How could this happen? How could we see both of these things? And more importantly, the hair on top of his head, which is combed backward, is raised up as though something's traveling through his hair. And his bangs even pulled almost all the way down to his eyes. How could that happen? What's going on there? So I solved it for everybody. You're welcome. To jump over quickly, because I didn't finish what I was saying about Stu Peters' claim that millions of people now are thinking is the absolute truth. Lavalier Mike on the front of Charlie Kirk's shirt, shooting him through the neck, is preposterous if you understand the action requires an equal and opposite reaction. So, if the lavalier Mike fired a projectile through Charlie Kirk's neck, it would have to go that way. The mic goes this way, or what appears to be a mic, maybe as a magnet for lavalier Mike underneath of the shirt, but it doesn't go that way. It goes this way. It goes toward the injury, which is impossible, can happen, which on its face, it tells me that people, they should know that this is right on just seeing it immediate. But how many people, how dumb are the world? How dumb is the world? How many people have not heard of Newton? I mean, seriously. But I'm not, you know, when it comes to Stu Peters, maybe it's all he could come up with, and it garnered him millions of views and promulgated his name wildly. So that's a big win for him. However you look at it, that's a huge win for him. I mean, maybe instead of telling the truth about things, I mean, maybe what I should have done all along is just make up the most asinine horse shit. Because then all the tards will be like, oh, yeah. It was a butterfly drone. It's this big, practically invisible. Then they would all be pouring in, maybe. I don't know. So here's what actually happened. The Great Sloth's $1 financial gift over here on Premium Rumble. Thank you, brother. Conspiracies are a venting mechanism for the gravity of the assassination. They are used to redirect the attention to the world being anti-white, instead toward superstition. So true. Big salutes to the Great Sloths. All these conspiracies, it's all about redirecting people away from the reality that all of this is a consequence of anti-whiteism. All of this, if we didn't live in an anti-white world, you wouldn't even have a need for a Charlie Kirk. But if we didn't live in an anti-white world and there was a Charlie Kirk, he obviously wouldn't be getting shot for pushing back against anti-whiteism. So yes, it's all a misdirection. And it really begs the question, are these conspiratards, are they being pushed because it's a redirection? Whereas, you know, I come in there and I say, this is obviously how it happened. I even have a model to demonstrate it, and I'm going to show you in just a moment. And nothing, fucking crickets, literally nothing. So obviously, this is not the way it happened. The lavalier Mike did not shoot. There was no equal and opposite reaction to a projectile fired out of the mic through his neck. Second reason why that is not true. Charlie Kirk exhibited a decerebrated posturing, which means that his brainstem was damaged or destroyed by the projectile. That posturing was that immediate erect position, the arms going up, the legs doing a little bit of the same thing. That's involuntary. If you had a projectile shoot from here through, and that's not even, if you do it on yourself, if you look and you imagine a projectile being fired up through, it's going to come out up here somewhere, not here where it hits Charlie. So it doesn't, it just is ridiculous from there. But it's not going to hit your brainstem. It's not going to be anywhere close to your brainstem. It's not going to, if anything, if that had happened, it would have been more gruesome because Charlie wouldn't have been instantly dead. He would have been very much alive and conscious and fighting for his life right in front of everybody. So no, that's not what happened. So what did happen? What no one has figured out until us is that Charlie Kirk was wearing a surveillance radio earpiece. I just looked, and there are some people that have seen the video and have correctly concluded that Charlie Kirk has an ear coil acoustic tube in his right ear. They are incorrectly concluding how the ear coil acoustic tube works. They're talking about it running down his back to some pack down on his back, the way they use a earbud when they're streaming. That's not how an acoustic tube works. You see these all of the time. The ear coil is for the actual coil on Secret Service, on FBI, even Kmart security. Do they even have Kmarts anymore? Is that a thing? I don't even know. Walmart security. You'll see them with this in their ear. The acoustic tube is a hollow, translucent piece of rubbery plastic that goes into the ear. It's almost visible, and it's very lightly placed into the ear so as to not cause ear fatigue. Now, that's important in a moment. The tube then circles behind the neck, behind the head, into the neck area, back of the neck, where it connects to a juncture that is a speaker. A little one, to be sure, but it's a speaker. I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's like that size. It's like that. And I'll put up the one picture. That'll be the only picture I show here of that. A wire then goes from the speaker to either a radio, a cell phone that could be powered at receiving the communications with Bluetooth, or some other dedicated device, which is also simultaneously providing electricity. These surveillance radio earpieces, they come in two variety, 1 wire and 2 wire. And 1 wire variety usually circle back up around the shoulder, under the shirt, especially if you're not wearing a jacket. If they're wearing a jacket, it's on the outside of the shirt. And in the example I have, it's on the outside of the shirt. And there's usually like a PTT right here. So it's a microphone that you push it when you want to talk. Two cable varieties. Sometimes they'll send the PTT down the arm, and you'll see them talk like this into their sleeve. That's so they can talk back. They hear up through the ear, they talk through the sleeve. Now, why would Charlie Kirk have to have one of these on? Well, he doesn't have to, but it's a security measure. I can see being a security measure. I haven't confirmed that he does it, but it's obvious that he has it on. A security measure so that maybe his security team needs to talk with him privately about something going on, but it's not such a threat that they have to tackle him. Maybe also it's such that he has to be, hold on one second. Maybe also it's such that if he gets separated from his security detail, he can use a microphone to talk back with them, as well as them to give him instructions in his ear wherever he is. However, they might get separated. Okay. So that would be the reason why he has it on. Now, what's the thing on his breast that they're calling a lavalier mic? Not sure. We looked at the video footage. As Charlie approaches the stage, he gets a square lavalier mic clipped onto his collar. You clearly see the guy walk up, go right up to the collar, puts it in. Charlie goes up on the stage, and then we watched as Charlie leans forward a couple times, talking with people, and the shirt opens up a little bit, and you can see this black square. You can't see the other black rectangle or so that some people are saying, well, that's a magnet holding on the lavalier mic. It didn't appear to be at the collar, and it appeared to have clipped on instead. But could it be another microphone? Could it be a Bluetooth microphone that is attached to the shirt so for the surveillance radio earpiece? Maybe that's what it is. But nevertheless, Charlie has in the back of his shirt, right at the collar, but on the inside, a juncture where the speaker is. And I'll show you what that looks like. Now, here it's on the outside of the shirt, and the wire, in this case, is going down the agent's back, circling around in the rest of the video to his radio on his back hip. But in Charlie's case, this black wire went up over the left shoulder. And I'll explain how that happened. If there were some sort of secret service, some sort of high-tech murderers involved, if an explosive charge could be placed in this. Now, I want you to imagine that this thing is under the shirt, not on top, and it's not at the bottom of a collar, it's at the top of the t-shirt, which you could see in the video that we showed is right up at almost at the bottom of Charlie's hairline, right opposite his brain stem. If there were an explosive charge in this thing, it could deliver a projectile through Charlie's brain stem and would exit through his neck on the front. If some sort of secret service were behind this, the projectile would not be, in my opinion, lead or something else that could be found, but an organic or mostly organic material so that it would just disintegrate and be gone in no time. Also, if it were delivered from at this angle, it wouldn't then go out into the crowd. It would be at more of a downward trajectory. So cutting through the brainstem a little higher and then exiting the neck a little bit lower. Now, this could also be Tyler Robinson's round striking Charlie Kirk's vertebrae and then violently shoving his vertebrae backward. We'll talk about the backward motion. People have said 30-06, it would blow right through. It would leave a massive hole. People are online showing folks shooting with Mausers, 30-06, blowing pigs' heads to pieces and things. And the reality is that if Tyler Robinson had hand-loaded an attempt to be a subsonic round, the round would have been traveling much slower. Tree Godfather mentioned when I streamed that they even sell subsonic rounds. Now, mind you, sound speed is variable. It's not, always 767, whatever inches of mercury at sea level and at 20 degrees Celsius. That's just the formula. So if you are a tiny bit faster than sound speed, which would still be much slower than the 30-06 round, it would make a sonic crack and therefore the gun noise that everybody hears. The round would be traveling much slower. It would be tumbling. It might make, as a consequence, a larger entry wound. Another thing, after Tree Godfather had mentioned that they sell subsonic rounds, I recalled that they also sell, I'm not a hunter, but I have been at many a gun show. They also sell, what are they called? Soft SPs, soft projectiles for hunters, so that the round is intended to not go all the way through the animal. So presumably, maybe even with a regular 30-06, with one of these SP rounds, it might not go all the way through the animal. The purpose of this for hunting is to do massive damage, internal damage, to kill the animal more quickly so that it's a more humane kill, so that there isn't a long search for the animal as it runs off, but also so that the bullet doesn't travel through the animal and out into the woods and maybe kill a human being, maybe hit a house, maybe hit somebody's car, maybe hit somebody's pet. So if it were a SP soft point, and certainly if it were that and a subsonic round that went just too fast enough and caused the sonic crack, it would stop in his body. It would not go through. So end of story there. But if it hit his spine and therefore severing his spinal stem, therefore causing the decerebrated posturing, it would punch this juncture with the vertebrae backward. The other thing that would punch this juncture backward, as we go back to Newton, would be if it exploded to deliver a projectile through Charlie Kirk's spine and then out his neck. Well, when you see the videos of Charlie Kirk from behind when he is assassinated, the very first thing that happens is the back of his shirt jumps away from his neck. If that lavalier mic on his breast had shot him through the throat, that's what you would see it do. It would jump away from where it's firing. You see Charlie Kirk's top of his shirt, right where this thing would be connected, punched backward before anything else happens. Well, what else happens? What else happens there is that, how do we know this is happening? We go back to where I started, and then we are done with this conversation. And that is, you see two things happen that are bizarre. Charlie Kirk's hair on the top of his head stands up, and his shirt, his t-shirt, climbs up at an angle toward his face, toward his cheek. The hairs come all the way down, almost all the way down his forehead. So I decided the easiest way to demonstrate this for people would to be break out my stuffed animal of a groundhog that I got for my comedy book. It's a comedy, damn it. How do groundhogs play a part? You'll have to read it for yourself. And then I'll take a look at what you all are saying. I just want to show you this. So I got the little guy, and I went and found some rope, but it was black, and then it was hard to see. So I found some rope that I used, pink rope that I used for practicing knots. And I cut me a bit of it so that you can see our stand-in here for the exact configuration that I submit to you that Kirk was wearing on the day he was assassinated. And here you have it. Here is the groundhog. Up here you see where the acoustic tube, the earpiece, connects into his ear. Now remember, this is lightly in place. That's important. That travels around the back to the top of Charlie's neck, where it meets that juncture I was showing you. On the other side of that juncture is the wire. The wire travels around Charlie Kirk's left shoulder and then across his body over to this point where it's connected to a radio, a cell phone, or some other dedicated device. How do we know? Because when Charlie Kirk is shot, or either from the front or the back, it's up to you to decide. I don't think there's a way to know for sure, but with this information. But when he is shot from the front or the back, This juncture is punched backward. Now, again, that's because the juncture carried an explosive and it went off, firing a projectile forward, or because Tyler Robinson's bullet coming in hits the vertebrae and the vertebrae go backward with massive force onto the juncture. Well, the juncture on this side, where the acoustic tube is connected, firmly connected, is only lightly connected to the ear. And that's why, my friends, when Charlie is shot, the first thing you see is this flying away. And you can find plenty of videos of the acoustic ear tube flying away from his ear. It would have to, because the other end has taken a ride backward. On the other end, however, where the wire is connected to the juncture, it coils over his shoulder and all the way down to where it's connected to some other device. All of this is resistance that is added to this juncture, so that when this is punched backward, the juncture is punched backward, the most likely point to come undone will be the wire at the juncture. When that happens, the wire flies off and comes over. It's trapped, remember, by Charlie's t-shirt, and the t-shirt is climbing the wire as the wire flies over Charlie's head, making his hair, which is combed backward, stand up, flying over his forehead so that the hair is pushed down on his forehead, causing the t-shirt material to rise way high, all the way up to the cheek. And now at this point, the wire has lost its energy, t-shirt's holding it in place, and of course, Charlie falls over. You're welcome, world.